Hello, welcome to AI in Action. My name is Maurie, and I'm here with my husband Jim. It is Sunday evening, and we are doing what we always do. We are going to be talking about artificial intelligence. Now, tonight, we are very excited that we actually have a guest on the podcast. We are going to be talking to Matt Karabinos, who is a sixth grade teacher, and he is currently in the trenches.
Where?
So,
Where is
yeah,
he a sixth grade teacher? Because we couldn't decide. Are you in what state are you in?
I'm in central Pennsylvania.
Okay,
I,
So
I told you he was in
you
Princeton.
did tell me that. Sorry, I messed
We
that
were
one up.
having an argument about time zones, and we just got back from California last week or week before, and I'm still kind of like thinking California time zone versus Eastern time zone, and so
She
and
can't do time zones. She doesn't
I'm
do time zones.
time zones.
That's
It's
my job.
I have to use perplexity every time. So that's how I figure out time zones. So
I'm gonna get her one of those watches that has different time zones on it, so she'll know the time zones.
there
okay.
you go.
This is not the podcast to make fun of Mari. Okay,
Oh, it's
we're
not.
going to
Sorry.
talk about artificial intelligence. We're going to talk about what Matt is experiencing in the classroom. We're going to get really I'm going to use an AI term. We're going to dive deep into or take a deep dive is what AI always says. So Matt, tell us just a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I am a sixth grade teacher, central Pennsylvania. I planned all summer to teach ELA and science and found out about 4 days before school started that I'm going to be teaching math instead. So
Hey, at least it was math and not kindergarten. Okay.
yeah, it's true.
So
That's true.
I,
I
w-
got to
I
stay
was
in the 10th grade, so
I
that
tell
was
you
I was
what,
lucky about that.
I was happily teaching fifth grade. I was teaching fifth grade math. No, fourth grade. Teaching fourth grade. Man, it's been a long time. I can't remember. And literally, like, what, 2 weeks before school starts, they're like, hey, Mari, you're the only one in the district that's certified to teach kindergarten. We lost the kindergarten teacher. That's where you're going to be. I cried. I cried.
She did actually.
I was just like, my kids went out and bought me the old movie Kindergarten Cop
Yeah.
so I could watch it over and over again. It's Mother Tuma, And so that was but you know what? I was there for a year. I survived and I learned lessons. And now I can say, yes, I have herded cats.
Yeah, there
Absolutely.
you go. You make
So,
the
but
best of it,
anyway, make
That's
the
it.
best of it.
I, and
So you're
that's what
doing
I
math.
yeah, so I tried using, and so this leads into the second question, but this I
Yeah.
use
What's your
AI.
background?
Yeah,
Yeah. What's your
so my
background in AI?
background with AI is I literally just jumped on the train. I jumped on a little late actually. I didn't actually start using ChatGPT or any AI programs until about May of 2023. So I went a good, what's that, 6 months or so without touching it, without using it. And I was initially scared. My wife and I joked about the whole, you want Skynet, this is how you get Skynet. And so that was our initial idea of what was happening there. And then I started to see more and more through TikTok of teachers sharing things that they were doing in their classrooms. And so I was like, and I was like, all right, so if there are other teachers using this, maybe it's okay if I use it. And I started May 10th. I have the date because it's my first conversation ever with ChatGPT. I
Hang
literally
on.
went back and looked
I got
for
to
it.
write that down. May
10th,
10th,
2023.
2023, Matt
Yeah.
started using AI. That for some reason that sounds like that's going to be like really important in the future there.
That's how, we'll see. We'll see. But, I asked it to make a simple prepositional quiz because I needed something on the fly because that's how I teach is on the fly. So I needed something real quick and it did it for me. And I said, that did that really easily and pretty darn well. What else can it do? And here we are today. Um,
Awesome.
so I dove. See, I don't want to teach ELA. So I dove in deep to AI, and I'm still diving.
Well, that's
I've
great. I
had
mean, I don't
yeah,
think there's going to be a bottom.
Not for a
no,
while.
yeah. I've had to pull back the reins a little bit. Pennsylvania is a little bit lagging behind when it comes to any sort of guidance or anything like that. So my district's a little hesitant to kind of jump on the making a policy or making guidance, and which is understandable. Um, but I did one of the whole, ask for forgiveness and not permission last year. I
Hmm.
tested it out with some of my students. Thankful for all the people on LinkedIn showing, basics of AI literacy and teaching that to kids. So we had lots of really good conversations last year. Um, but I realized actually that sixth graders, they weren't really ready for that conversation.
Hmm.
The idea to recognize that is it a good idea or is it a bad idea that something can do work for you. For a sixth grader, the answer is it's a great idea. Like I want
Right.
the work done fast, as quick as possible. And
Absolutely.
I'm not going to fault them for that because that's where they are developmentally. They
Well,
are, I
no, no,
want to get
no.
the work done. I want to get the
I
work done.
I really think that that's where a lot of humans are
Oh, well,
developmentally,
yes.
because
Yeah. Yeah.
humans tend to take the path of least resistance. I mean,
100%.
that's just that, from a counseling standpoint, if you can get there faster, that's most humans are going to do it that way. So,
100%. And
yeah,
that's where adults are jumping on. And I think that's where kids are going to jump on.
yes.
But again, when the kids get older, like this summer, I worked with a group of students who were juniors, going to be seniors through a summer program through Penn State University. Really good program for career readiness. And they asked me to do a talk with the kids about AI. And I had the conversations were completely different with
Hmm.
them. They could understand, we were having them write a narrative essay that they could use to apply for scholarships, apply for college, or whatever their next step may be. So they were able to, we were able to have conversations and say, do you think it's a good idea that AI is actually writing this for you? Like, and so we were able to have some pretty good conversations from that. But it was just so unique to see a complete different because the kids were allowed to use AI the whole program. Like if they were
Right.
doing a presentation, they were doing a project, it was use whatever tools you want. And they were like, are you sure? Are we allowed? So because at most of our
Is
schools
this a
around
catch
here,
22?
yeah, right.
Is this going to be a gotcha?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
at most
understand.
of our schools,
So,
that's the policy. So, that's how we go.
yeah, unfortunately, there are a lot of schools. Texas is also one of those states that, I mean, our state hasn't really given us a lot of guidelines other than just, a bunch of like almost like platitudes and just really vague stuff. So, Texas is another one of them that's really not giving us any guidance into K-12 education. So, let me ask you this. The stuff that you are using AI for as a teacher, now that's something that Jim and I have made a very conscious decision not to make it student facing at our school district. This
Yeah.
is teacher facing 100%. Because we're not ready to start educating the parents and educating the community and, that kind of thing. So is AI meeting your needs in your classroom?
So I would say right now, yes, but only because I've spent a lot of time playing with it.
Playing with
I've
it?
spent a lot of time prompting, seeing prompts that work and don't work, and
Hmm.
throwing ideas out. And I said on Fonz's podcast, I have a conversation with a GPT that I created. I've literally started it probably 30 times over the summer
Hmm.
with different iterations to see if I could get better or different results. And
Right.
still not perfect yet, but I get what I need out of it because
Right.
I'm looking for. Um, this is kind of ironic. My friend pointed this out to me that it's kind of ironic, but I'm not that creative, so I need help thinking outside of my own box that I have created for myself.
Hmm.
So that's where AI comes in for me. Is I come from a background of very traditional teaching, and that's how I was taught, and that's how it was ingrained in me. Um, I don't want to do that. So
Right. Right.
I want to teach
Well,
differently. So that's kind of how I use it is like, how can I change this lesson to apply to more of the multiple intelligences? How could I change this lesson to be some sort of based learning style? Or give me
mhm.
ideas for, a project that could accomplish the same goal as a quiz. I like really want to get away from, quizzes and tests and things like that. So that's kind of where I use AI to help me steer,
Well, I think we're
essentially.
going to have to get away from all that stuff. Otherwise, we're completely losing the engagement of our students. So
100%.
and that's a totally that's a totally different conversation.
Yeah.
Have you been using some of the tools that are out there, like some of the canned tools? And do you think that if you are using those canned tools, are they practical? Are they meeting the actual needs of the teacher?
So I'm assuming you mean like the straight up like AI
Yeah,
ed tech, like
in
Diffit.
ed tech, like you
Diffit's
have
what they call it.
an
Yeah.
ed tech company says, "Hey, here's a tool. Use this. It's going to solve all your
Yeah.
problems." Have you used any of those ed tech tools?
Yeah. So there are a handful that I still use. I am almost exclusively using ChatGPT because of the ability to create custom GPTs, and they pretty much do what I want.
Right,
I do
right. So
things
you're
like
using the
upload
big
my
guy.
curriculums. Yeah.
You're cutting out the middleman. You're going straight to the
Yeah.
source.
I
Okay.
have now, if I was teaching ELA again this year, Diffit was going to be a major use case for me. I was going to use that all the time. Probably every week I was going to use that. Diffit's one of my favorite right now. To do what Diffit does would take me multiple like prompts and iteration. It would take
For
a lot longer. So
differentiation? Is it for
yeah, so
differentiation of task? So like leveled
yeah, so
readers and things like that?
yeah, you put in a topic, you put in a grade level, and it
Hmm.
spits out. Now they could do fiction or nonfiction. It's standards based. PA standards are in there. Then it spits you out multiple choice, short answer, and long answer questions to go with it. And on top of that, they throw in there that you can export to pretty much any sort of slide deck that you like. They've incorporated Edu protocols. They've incorporated stuff from Matt Miller, some of his activities that he had, and 3-2-1 summaries. So they take all these research-based like note taking and Google Slides and PDFs or whatever, and you can export straight to them.
And
So
then you
if
got
there's
put
this
in math.
right, well, yeah, right, and I got put in math, so that tool, like, sadly, I'm probably not going to use that much because I don't have a real need right now to create stories.
Right.
Um, but that was going to be a tool I was going to use regularly if I was teaching ELA stuff. So
Okay. So the next question is kind of like a personal thing that I wanted to ask, because we actually are giving a bunch of tools to teachers. And you have all these people that come in. And one of the things that we do when we go out and do professional development into other districts and stuff is we talk about, okay, so here's this tool and it's got lesson planning and it's got differentiation, or it has, um, grade this or grade that. And most of the time, the teachers are like, I don't need help with lesson planning. I've been a teacher for 10 years. I know what I'm doing. My district provides me the lesson plan, that kind of thing. So I've been really, really surprised at what teachers are actually saying that they would want a tool to do. So, like in our PD, we do like a hands on thing where they get to name their AI and they get to like give it all these functionalities. So, if I was to tell you that you could have any tool for your classroom, AI tool, what would its top 5 functions be? And it doesn't have to be like educational functions. I'm talking about teacher in the trenches. What top 5 things could that AI tool do? That AI assistant do?
well, my number one function. I've actually talked about a couple. I've talked to a couple different ed tech companies to try to get them to do this, but
Hmm.
having having something where it's kind of like a personalized tutor, but more. And I don't think we're quite multimodal enough yet for this to happen. But the idea is a student sits down and says, "Hey, um, I need to learn. Like, what am I teaching? Cells. Okay, so we're teaching cells, structure and function. So I need to learn about the structure and function of plant and animal cells for a sixth grader. Um, I like listening to podcasts." And then the tool would develop a podcast based around that. Kind of like the demo I saw of whatever Google product I'm still waiting for,
Right,
but the Google
exactly.
product
Aren't we
where you
all?
have, oh my God, like that would be amazing if I could get my hands on that.
Now, it wouldn't
If
be,
it ever happens.
would it be the student that was sitting down to ask
Yeah.
this, or would it be you? Okay, so let me reframe the question. What is
Okay.
it that you would want as a teacher? If I was to
Okay.
tell you, okay, I'm coming in and I am not going to allow you to give your students AI. Your students cannot
Mhm.
have direct access to an AI, because if I do, I'm going to have a parent come up here that's going to be really upset. Okay, so if the teacher only could use AI, what's the 5 things that it would do to try to help you as a teacher?
Or 3 things, whatever you can
Or
name.
3 things, just,
Yeah, oh, that's fine.
just
Yeah.
start naming them. I think
Uh,
once you kind of think about it, I think you'll,
well,
5 thi
to be quite honest, number one would probably be to answer my emails for me. God,
okay.
if I could program an AI, like just like let it watch me answer emails for like a month, and then just let it answer emails for me. Um, the amount of task switching that teachers have to do throughout the day is absolutely
Right.
insane. So
Mhm.
if I could take that off my plate, that'd be great. Not having to respond to emails.
Okay.
Let's see.
Would you trust it enough to answer your emails?
Probably not. No, probably not. Bro,
What if
I
it
probably still have to double check everything, but
Yeah, it'd be nice, I guess, if it would at least make an effort to get you started on answering it and maybe not answer
yeah.
it completely. I would probably trust it. I get 150 emails a day, and Mari gets more than I do probably, and it's hard to sort through them. It's hard to figure out what's in
For
there.
me, it wouldn't
Well,
necessarily be answering them, it would be sorting them. Like, j
that, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, there you go.
if
Well,
it
let's
was
do that.
able
Let's do
if it
that.
was able to just say, "Hey, Mari, you just got an email from the superintendent that's of high importance."
Yes.
Something because and when I
I'm
was an AP and I was sending out emails to my teachers, they don't check their emails throughout the day. I mean, they check them first thing in the morning and then maybe during their conference period, because when you've got kids in your classroom, you're not sitting down checking your emails. So
no.
just to be able to like tell me the importance of those emails,
Yeah,
So
I
that
think,
would be really nice.
what else you
yeah.
got besides
So,
emails?
see, like, I don't know, like, I'm kind of, it may, okay, so maybe if I could take, and I know this is an app that can do this, but I think in order to do it the way I want it, you have to pay for it. But to take the material that I need to deliver and then put it into like my 11 labs, like automatically, and then have it deliver the lesson so that I could, or read a book so that I could save my voice. Like I'm doing a read aloud with our kids for a half an hour. And by the end of
Hmm.
that, I'm like, you know,
Yeah.
so if I could do that, that'd be great.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think what else. I
I
mean,
think that
At the
also I
elementary
wondered about
level,
that. Would you do that with? Would that be a good thing for you to work with to have ready for a sub too if you knew you're going to be out?
oh yeah, oh that'd be great.
So
Yeah.
11
Oh my gosh,
is
we could go crazy and have like a hey gen of Mr. K, like and play the video at the beginning of the day to get the kids ready for the day. That would probably be really creepy for the kids, but that's
oh, they
well,
would love it. They would
at the
love it.
same time they probably like it, and especially if it was more avatarish, so it didn't
yeah.
kind of look like you but kind of not. But 11 Labs can copy your voice pretty well now too.
Oh, they got me. They got me. It was funny because when I recorded my voice, I had to be quiet because like my kid was sleeping. So
Yeah.
my voice is very like monotone and quiet. And my kids are like, oh, that doesn't. My wife was even like, it's really creepy and it's like you, but not you. So like, it's just like it's you, but
We
not
don't
you.
need the ASMR version of you. We want the
Right.
actual you.
Right.
It's
Um,
funny to me whenever I ask a junior high teacher versus an elementary teacher what they find important in the classroom. I mean,
yeah.
one of the number one things at the elementary campus was take my attendance. I
Oh
mean,
gosh. Yeah. Wow.
they're
We
like,
heard
we
that at the high
forget.
school too. We were in
Yeah,
California. Remember they said that at the high school.
yeah, take my attendance. Let me know what kids are here and what kids aren't here. Remind me every day to post my attendance. The other one was, watch my class while I go to the bathroom.
God. I didn't even think that far outside the box.
See,
That would be
I
genius.
don't I
That
don't know how you guys do it honestly. Because when I have to go to the
magic.
bathroom, I have to go to the bathroom. I don't get how you guys go. Oh, I'm just gonna wait till the end of the day. I would die.
yeah,
I don't
It's
know how
like watch my class while I go to the bathroom. So, I mean, there
yeah.
was really some funny ones that were coming up at the elementary level. And as you said,
No, that
outside the box, you just don't
yeah.
think about it. If an AI
Right.
can do it, then, why not?
So I'll be honest with you. I looked at this question for like an hour and was trying to answer it, and I was like, pretty much everything that I do, like I can't imagine something I need. Like, well, so one thing, all right, so like, but this already happens. This is what I do already. Like, I have to turn in lesson plans every
Hmm.
Monday, and I know, I know what I'm doing. So I literally am like, hey, here's what I'm doing this week, and type it out for me, and
Yeah.
I turn it in. And again, so like, uh, that's something like it already exists for me. But those are trying to think of what else. Well,
We can
Maury,
move on to the next
Maury,
taking
one.
go to
students, yeah, no, we can move on to the next one because
We can
go to
move
the
on
next
to the next one.
question. If he
I've had to
thinks,
think about that one for a while.
Yeah. So the next one I wanted to ask is like, people are always talking about how artificial intelligence and how it's going to disrupt and it's going to, revolutionize and all that stuff into education. What changes are you looking forward to AI making? And then on the flip side, are there changes that you're not looking forward to AI making in education?
Yeah. So this is a good one. I like this question. Um, so the things I'm looking forward to are the things that we're talking about in the human intelligence movement, which kudos, finally there.
Thank you.
It's about
Thank you. It
time.
took
It's
me a
about
while. Took
time.
me a while.
It's about time. But that we really I wanted to move this year into a more ungrading structure in my room. Do a lot more feedback. My kids are just moving around the room. They're working on problems, and I'm coming through saying, "Hey, show me how you did that. Explain to me how you did that." And one-on-one feedback, just walking around the room, like getting my steps in. But really moving towards the stuff that they're going to be doing when they get older. Um, the four, I think there are four, but I've seen like 17 different versions of how many C's there are in, but the four C's, and you throw all those in there, and those are the things that the kids should be doing like every day. Um,
Right.
I did my first, um, I didn't read the book. I had AI help me kind of mimic the book. I had an idea of what I was supposed to do, but Building Thinking Classrooms by Peter Liljedahl. And I wanted to kind of do something like that for my math class this year. So I have AI kind of give me what is a thinking task that these kids are going to have to, try a little bit on. Well, I gave them the first one last week, and the amount of engagement that I saw when I told these kids to partner up and go get it.
Mm-hmm.
They all thought like I had kids that are really smart. I have a girl who has to sit. This is terrible. She has to sit in my math class, but she's not. She's in seventh grade math, so she has to sit in my math class because she can't go to math until the afternoon. So she's kind of
Oh,
sitting in
wow.
my room. So AI is helping me out, give her stuff to do, so that she's just not sitting there wasting away. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
making like seventh grade stuff for her to work on. So I had her jump into this and said, "Hey, like, why don't you try this problem with us? This is a pretty difficult problem. So why don't you try it?" Um, for like 15 minutes. These kids were like, well, wait, what about this? And I gave them all little whiteboards and they had one marker. And so they had to share the marker and they're talking, they're discussing. They're like, well, wait, what if we do this? And I was like, my gosh, it works.
Problem solving. They're
It
problem
works.
so
solving.
that's what that looks like when they do
But
it.
again, like,
Okay,
they
Matt, I
are
have to ask you though.
so
I
used.
have to ask
Yeah,
you, and this is a Texas administrator coming out in me here, okay?
go ahead.
Do y'all have high stakes testing
Oh, yeah.
for sixth
Oh,
grade?
yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah.
do you think by changing the paradigm that these kids are still going to do okay on a high stakes standardized test?
We're going to see when I give them the formative test after.
Okay.
So
Okay,
we're going to
because I
see.
mean, what I see is I 100% agree with you that
Mhm.
that think outside the box, problem solving, critical thinking, all this stuff. And I had a maker space. I taught junior high maker space for 7 years, and talk about chaos and free for all, and 3D printers and laser cutters, and we were sawing stuff and painting stuff, and it was awesome. But my subject wasn't tested, so I could see how that administration is, they still live and die by the test scores. So I'm curious, and that's why we've adopted these three classes, fourth grade and fifth grade classes, is because we're like, okay, we're going to do all this stuff where it's at a very, very low performing school. And we're actually hoping that we can see an uptick in those test scores.
Yeah.
But we still have to make sure that we're doing a little bit of drill and kill, and we're doing, getting them ready for the format of the test and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
don't get me wrong. That stuff is all still built in. The kids
Hmm.
have a workbook. We go through that.
Good.
So I have it's like tiered every day. So every
Awesome.
day I start with my instruction. We go to the problems in the workbook, old school,
Hmm.
solve, pencil, paper, go talk about it. And then the end of class, the last 10, 15 minutes, that's when I give them the thinking task. And so
Awesome.
that's when they're out there problem solving. So they are still getting that work.
Sounds like you are ahead of your time. So what about what
We'll
you're
see.
not looking forward to?
I am not 100% not looking forward to these AI instructor schools.
Right.
Oh
I've seen
man,
a couple of them pop
that's
up.
one of my hot topics. I can go on about that. You and I are in 100% agreement on that one.
I've seen some of them pop up, and
You're going to
I'm
see
a
a lot
member.
more.
I'm a member of a group called the AI Salon, and it's not specifically for teachers. It's for pretty much anybody who wants to get into AI, and it's kind of how I first started. Um, the guy who started it, his name's Kyle Shannon. He's on LinkedIn and he's also on TikTok as the AI Learning Lab. But and through this network, this is where I see all these updates. And I saw that this guy who used to work for OpenAI started this AI only school
Yep,
or AI
I've
native
seen him.
school.
That he was one of the co-founders of it.
Yeah.
Yes, it's got the really long name. I think it starts with an I or something. I know you're talking about. I've seen what he's
So,
doing. 100% disagree with it too.
so we put that up on Twitter and, saying, hey, we're starting this school. And I said, I don't know how we think this is a good idea. Um, and I am seeing here's the thing I will say. The discussion around AI, I think, is awesome because it has forced more discussion of what should be happening in classrooms than anything in the last 10 years. It has
Yeah,
forced,
Maury and I
well,
talk
and COVID, maybe except for
exactly,
COVID, but I mean, but
exactly. Yes.
it's forcing these conversations, and teachers, especially ELA and writing teachers, are having to totally like, well, how do I know that I'm going to go back to pencil and paper? And it's like, well, what happens when they get to a job and they have an iPad or they have a company laptop and they don't know how to use it? And that's on us. That's our fault. Or they go to college and they have a Chromebook or a laptop and they don't know how to use it. That's on us.
All right. So Matt,
So
did you?
yeah,
I wrote an article. I posted it not too long ago about how we need to ask the why and not the how.
yeah,
And it's a whole thing about. I did a ton of research about cheating
yeah,
and about how 60 to 70%. I mean, Stanford just came out with a big study. 60 to 70% of the students in the past, I mean, since they started the study, like in 2015 is when they first started doing the study every single year, they've cheated at least once. And it's not that cheating has not been occurring. It has always been occurring. As a matter of fact, there is a downtick in cheating because now kids are afraid more so of getting caught because they're afraid that they're going to get accused of using AI. But there's so many other reasons as to why they cheat that we need to be addressing. And a lot of it has to do with that engagement piece, the structure of the lesson. There's, but yeah,
Maury, you're going to get off on this. This is your hot button.
it is my hot button, and I
He
know
found
that we're
mine, and
going to
now he
go.
found yours.
Okay, well, I know we're going to go over our 30 minutes, and we're okay with that. We can go long on this podcast. This is great conversation.
this is me we're talking about here. This is kind of the reputation I'm getting. Is that
Yeah, I was like, oh,
this is what
don't have Matt on. He goes too long. No, so I agree with you that there's something like privacy and bias and cheating and lesson design and all of this stuff. AI has brought it into the light.
Mhm.
I don't know if you follow Jason Gula, I think his name is. He and I were just going back and forth on a LinkedIn post today about, humanizing AI and why you should or should not. So you should go look at that one. But
Yeah,
anyway, do you think traditional lessons are going to have to change because of AI? And I think you already answered that.
I think
Yes,
they should. I think
they,
they should.
I think they
Um,
need to.
yeah, and the I'm trying to remember. So I think it was D. Lanier who wrote the promises and perils of AI in education. It was D. Lanier and Ken Shelton. They were on Fonz's podcast, and D. Lanier said something that really struck a chord with me, which was, why are we using AI to do the same things that we know are bad practice?
Right.
Why are we using it to make worksheets? Why are we using it to make quizzes? We're doing this stuff perpetuating these
Mm-hmm.
practices that we know are not best practices. And
Right.
High stakes
so,
testing. High stakes testing
well,
needs to
well
go
That's
in
your
that
and
pile
here,
answer.
too.
and that is the core, right?
Yep.
So that was, I expressed that, I lamented about that um, in a TikTok that I did. And I said, I would love, and I think I did it on LinkedIn too. I would love to do all this amazing stuff with project-based learning and writing and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm responsible to teach my kids how to write a text-dependent analysis response because they
Right.
have to write that response. And hopefully someday in the future, as these state tests become digitized or go away, frankly, that'd be nice.
That would be
But
nice.
as they become digitized, because I think within the next year, Pennsylvania, we're switching to all online.
We
Texas
already
already
did.
has.
Yeah.
And AI grades ours now too, which is ironic
Right.
beyond
Well,
belief.
so again, right? So this was a discussion I got in with my admin last year because I was using a program called Class Companion to give initial feedback to my students. This was the ask forgiveness, not permission part. So
Yeah.
we had to have a discussion later because I should have asked permission first. But anyway, that's another story. But I did this, and a kid went home and said, Mr. K is using AI to grade us. And I said, well, I was very clear, obviously, in class that that's not what I was doing. And frankly, I specifically told the students to ignore the score. I didn't want them to even look at the score. The score doesn't matter. I wanted them to look at the feedback. The feedback that this was giving was actually pretty good. It was based on the rubric that I put in. It was pretty decent. I read every piece of feedback that went back to the kids and I said, well, this is pretty good for initial feedback. But then again, I got in these discussions on LinkedIn and it's like, you're still pushing the final product. The final product shouldn't be. And so this is where I learned, right? So I learned that, maybe the AI doesn't give, maybe AI shouldn't give feedback at all. So that's where I kind of ended up with it is maybe AI shouldn't give feedback at all. But I'll tell you what,
Well,
it's really enticing. And I'm a teacher who only teaches, I think last year I taught 36 kids. I'm really lucky.
yeah, when you have
So teach
120
100, yeah.
120 kids and you're giving that feedback, I'm going to put my counselor hat on for just a second.
Hmm.
When you get to where you have written good job, good job, good job, good job on 15 papers in a row because you're sick of coming up with feedback, that's when AI can step in and give you a little more personalized feedback that you can maybe think about.
Yes,
And that way the kid starts feeling like they belong in the classroom, that the teacher
absolutely.
cares, and they're going to come to school and yada, yada, yada. So, but again, you talk about this high stakes test. Matt, follow the money because
Oh,
I don't see how any state in the United States is going to get rid of high stakes testing because of the money involved in the companies that are giving those high stakes tests. So that's
oh
going to
yeah,
take
you're
something
100%
at like
right.
a government level. It's not going to be happening at a lower level than that. So anyway, on to the next question. What
Hmm.
difference do you see for AI usage in like K-12 EDU versus college EDU? Like, do you see that there's all these differences that we really need to talk about, or do you think it's just going to be like the same across the board?
Well, it depends on how much further we advance, and how much schools decide to or not to allow, student-facing tools. You have some of these student-facing tools that are claiming that they can be used with whoever, with
Mhm.
kids of any age level, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that in order to do something on the student-facing side, you need to have a massive, massive AI literacy program starting really early, really simple, really early, letting them know from the get-go, these are machines. They can do really good at XYZ and they're really bad at XYZ, and like let them know that early. Whereas when you get to higher ed, again, this is the same for me talking to my sixth graders, talking to juniors. They have this idea of the ethical part of it. Should I let AI write something for me? Or should I just use AI to give me ideas? Should I use AI to polish it up at the end? I have it all written, but I need AI to polish it up. You can have those more nuanced conversations at a higher ed level. Um, those would be very difficult decisions to have in the K-12 space. Other
Mhm.
than, like I said, juniors and seniors, you might be able to have that conversation with.
Yeah, because
But
they need to get prepared for the outside world.
100%. And so before
And
that, yeah.
Yeah, they need to get prepared for that. And then you also need to have a lot of conversations with them, I think, about the ethical use and about like deep fakes and the things that can happen
Yes.
that are out there.
I
So,
I was very thankful in my district that somebody came in and did a whole presentation for the community. And again, this goes back to what you were saying, getting the buy-in of the community, not just teaching the students, not just teaching the teachers, and not just teaching the school. You need those parents in there. So when you're
right,
having, you need to have a conference or a whatever for all the parents to be there as well, and ongoing communication. The community needs to buy in as a whole.
right.
And so that I think is where the shift needs to happen. But to get back to my story, my community had someone come in, and that was the focus was AI can do these deep fakes really easily. AI can face swap really easily, like absurdly easily. I put my face on Superman. I had Henry Cavill's body, and it looked pretty darn close to my face. And I joke with my wife. I said, "Well, that would be pretty nice to have Henry Cavill's
No,
body." But
no,
again,
no.
like
I want to hear what your wife said. What was the response that your wife gave when you said that?
she's very kind to me. She goes, "Eh, eh." She goes, "Eh." That was her response. Was, "Eh."
Well, see,
She's chuckling back there.
I would have said, but you already do. We're good,
She
Yeah, this.
wouldn't if she'd have patted me on the belly and go, keep working on it. Keep working on it. You'll get there.
Great.
That would have been as
Great.
nice as it got from her.
Yeah. No, but that's what I I'm glad that my community did that. I didn't get a chance to go. So I live like almost 30 minutes away from my school. So to like go to events and stuff up there is like I got to plan ahead. I got a
Mhm.
toddler too. Like that's why we're doing this so late. Is because
Yeah,
it's really nice to do this after the toddler goes to sleep.
exactly.
'Cause yeah,
All right,
especially
so
to
last
deal with
question.
chaos.
Last question, then I'll let you go get some sleep. So, if you could only give your colleagues one piece of advice about AI, what would it be?
So I'm getting really good at this. So I'm wearing this T-shirt for all the podcasts that I do, and I know
Oh,
they're
really?
not videoing, but I'm going to show it to you, and then I'll tell you what it says. Okay.
Okay. Be curious, not judgmental. Is that what it
Yep,
says? Ted
that is
Ted
what it
Ted
says,
Lasso?
Lasso.
and that's
Yeah.
from Ted Lasso.
Uh-huh.
So I have that written on the windows in my classroom. I have it on a couple different signs around my classroom. It's kind of how I want my classroom to be. That's my utopia of sixth grade. Of course, sixth grade is never going to fully be that, but
No.
um, I I would tell them to be curious about it. I started being judgmental. I think that's what I told Fonz and I told you guys. It probably would shock a lot of people with how much I talk about AI and how many TikToks and all that stuff I've done with AI that I didn't start right away. I did not
Hmm.
jump on right away. I was not on the bandwagon the whole time.
You were one
So
of the hostiles in the crowd, huh?
Yeah, we
yeah,
always have a
We
hostile.
always have a
yeah,
hostel. It doesn't
I
matter what
was.
school, doesn't matter what school
Oh,
we or what state, every time we go out,
I love
50
them.
people in the crowd, 300
yeah.
people in the crowd,
I,
doesn't
I
matter.
love the. They're my
Always a
favorite.
hostel.
I like the hostiles.
Can I share with you my hostel story? So my
Go for it.
I did a training for our local, so like intermediate units, like run regions. So that's like PA, Department of Education, whatever they decree or put down, it goes to these IUs that are all in different regions and they do training. So they asked me to do a training for them with AI because I can confidently say that I know the most about AI of anyone in my region. And I can confidently say that. And if there is someone out there who knows more than me, come and find me, please, because I would love to talk to you. I need to know where you are so we can meet and be best friends. But I did my training, and we asked the question. Um, it was kind of co-presenting, so the other presenter asked the question of like, it was like put a finger down if you, and it was like talk to Siri or use the smartphone and it was all these things. One of them was like use the internet, okay? And there was a guy who had four fingers up. And I said, my man, he's like, I don't have the internet. And I was like, wait, I'm sorry, time out. What? You don't? So, in the back of my mind, I'm going, wait a minute. You don't use it. Why are you at a training for AI? Like you had to pay to be here. Like why did you pay to come learn about AI when you yourself don't? So this was very confusing. So he was very intriguing, but he said this AI is going to take away all the thinking of the kids. It's going to take away all their thinking. And I said, well, that depends on how you frame it. It depends on how you use it. It depends on how you. I said it doesn't take away all my thinking. I said, as a matter of fact, it helps me think even better. And so, but that's because I learned how to use it and play with it. And I said, which is why I'm glad you're here. It's because you're going to learn how to use it and learn how to play with it, so that's part of the thing. And he came back to me and just kept going down that road. So that was my
Yep.
hostage. He was just
Yep.
like, it's going to take away kids thinking. I said,
I
well,
love those. I
Yeah.
love those. The last one, and I know we got to go, but the last one, the exact quote was, it's going to suck the soul out of their creative thinking, of them. It's going to suck out their soul of what makes them human or something. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty dramatic. And he's like, but I'm not against it. I was like, well, I'm getting mixed messages here because sucking out the soul of their humanity and I'm not against it. They sound mutually exclusive, but maybe I'm just being overly sensitive.
I was
Yeah,
going to say
we
that's a
can usually.
pretty
It was
large.
what's really
I
funny is
always get those.
well,
Yeah.
what's really funny is when we're doing like a conference or something like that, I can usually I immediately know who it is in the audience that's a little hostile or
Not me.
they don't like it or whatever. And Jim is completely oblivious because I tend to read body language. I mean, you have somebody sitting there with their arms crossed and they're like all closed off, and you know that they're just sitting here just thinking about the different ways that they're just going to come up after this conference and they're just going to like, jab you with whatever question or whatever comment they're going to make.
I
They're
used
getting
to train
prepared.
engineers for a living.
Yeah, and Jim's like just completely oblivious. So the person walks up and says, well, what do you think about, the validity of yada, 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 yada? And Jim's was like, oh, great conversation. And then off he goes. And the person's like eyes are rolling back in their head within a couple of minutes because he's completely lost them. And then afterwards, I'm like, Jim, you do realize that she was a little like hostile, right? And he's like, huh?
That's
Was she
because
really?
I used to train engineers for a living. They come into the room hostile when it comes to, then they want to prove to you that they're smarter than you are. I am an engineer and I used to train them. So to me, it's just you're asking good questions. I mean, if you're not
Yeah.
coming up there and trying to make me look like an idiot, then I'm assuming you're wanting to know, so
Yeah.
I'm going to help you out. Anyway,
Yeah.
we've ran over, Mari.
Anyway, we have ran over and that's okay. I really appreciate your being here. Matt, is there anything else that you want to say before we sign off for the evening?
No, just hey,
You're good?
thanks for letting me be the third wheel tonight. So it
Yeah,
was fun.
absolutely.
No
Hey,
A lot
problem.
of fun.
he was behaving tonight, so it's all good. Jim, good job. You notice that he's in a
Thanks.
different room. In the past, we've been in the same room, like we
She
would
makes me
literally
go to my,
sit
I
down.
have to go to my
And
workshop now. She throws me out of the house.
now I make him go to his workshop and actually log in so that he can't I don't know.
So she
Yeah.
can mute my
So
mic.
Yeah,
so
I can mute you.
today I made a point to be down here at the kitchen table because when I was upstairs for fawns, we got cut off like 6 times. My internet doesn't quite reach that back corner of my house that
Well,
well.
we live
So
out in the middle
yeah,
of nowhere too. I
We
have
have
a
the same problem.
I have a hardwire line running from my router into my upstairs office that's
okay.
literally dangling down the stairs and going into the closet
Yeah, we
because I
haven't run it in
can't
the
do it.
ceiling yet. So,
You
Yeah.
gotta do
So,
what you gotta do.
yeah.
yep.
So
I'll let you get back to your toddler and a good night's sleep. And I really appreciate your being on
Thanks for being on.
AI in Action. Thank you very much. This is
yes, thank you
Marty.
both.
And yeah, thank you. I'm
Thank
Marty.
you.
And I'm here with Jim. And we are hoping that you guys have a marvelous rest of the week.